So before commencing the recording, Kwame just mentioned to me that United has taken us through all sort of emotions in the first 5 games of the league. We were happy on the first day, we were sad on the second day, we were more sad on the third day. We got a bit happy against Southampton, and now I don't know how to feel about the draw against Crystal Palace. I have absolutely no idea. How it just boggles my mind. I just can't understand how we managed. Yes, we managed not to win. This one we call it how not to win a football match. More like it. I'm here with Kwame and Chubu as usual. Host of everything that happened. Kwame, I won't ask you how are you, but how are you?
I don't know how to feel, honestly. I don't know how to feel because usually we come here after a good result and we are excited, we're happy, we say all the good stuff, the nice stuff, drop all the good juice. Then sometimes we lose and then we are chirping and we are banging in on everybody, having a go at every single person. But today, I don't know what to say. What kind of team is this?
Well, it tells me one thing. It tells me one thing that it tells me exactly where we are. We are not anywhere close to competing because if you create this ton of chances and decide not to take any of them, limit the opponent up until the 40th minute to 0 shots on target. And absolutely, in fact, we had 15 touches in their box and they had 0 in our box. This is Manchester United, though. The club that was facing 15 shots, 20 shots last season. This season has limited a team in the first half. In fact, until Eze had that shot on target in the first half, United had gone the whole of the second half against Southampton, the whole of the game against Barnsley, and close to 40 minutes against Crystal Palace at the Selhurst Park without conceding a shot on target. Had created tons of chances against the team that beat United 4-0 and some way, somehow managed not to score. I don't know what to make of this, but you know what? We would have to go ahead and still discuss everything that went on in the game and some specific things that would interest you, would interest everybody listening to the podcast. So as usual, remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment. But we have something new for you. Now, in the comment section, some people, how can we want to be part of the show? I want to be part of the show. We see all the comments. So we have created this for you. Okay, you have created this. Every day, before every game, if you go on our X handle, we'll announce it. Or just before any game, just send us a video, less than a minute, not more than a minute or less, of your thoughts on the game and what you think. Analyze the game for us in less than a minute and what you think. And send it to us via the email that you see on the screen. Send it to us. We would, as much as possible, select some of them. We can't select imagine it's like 20 comments. That would be like 20 minutes of comments from people. We'll select some of them. But be rest assured, everybody that sends at some point in time will have their views being featured on the podcast. So please, let's do this together. You are a part of the community. You are a part of the podcast. We want to hear you. So record a video of yourself and then send to us in a very clear environment so that we could see your face, we could see wherever you are clearly. So because it's for broadcast purposes, so that people watching can get to see it. All right. So this is what we are bringing to you, just so that.
And just to add, please be respectful about your comments.
Yes.
Mind your language.
Mind your language, please. We beg you. It's very, very important. If it is not broadcast friendly, unfortunately, we won't be able to put it out. It's very, very important. All right. You see the standard on this podcast. We want to keep it like that. Keep it respect. Rant as much as possible. If you want to say anything about Ten Hag, say it. If you want to say anything about Ineos, whoever, say it. We are not gagging you, but we are saying that be careful, be mindful with your language. All right, it's very, very important. You are free to criticize anybody. Nobody's going to. I'll be featuring everybody's view as and when it comes. So please remember to do that. All right, let me go for a quick turnaround. When I come back, I'll try and break down the game with Kwame and Chukwueze on United and everything. All right, thank you very much. Welcome back. I can't smile. I don't know. It's the thing really.
But what's that to smile?
I felt, after the game, I sat in my seat for about 5 minutes and I was like, what is the problem? So Kwame, I couldn't find a solution. So I want to ask you, what is the problem? Why did we fail to win this game against Palace after having them on chokehold for about almost the entire duration of the game? What happened?
Kwame, we saw one problem and another problem rears its head. Yeah. We've been going at this for a long, long time, where we always say, under even previous managers, like one season we saw one problem and then the next season another problem rears its head.
I'll give you an example. Ole went unbeaten in away games for over 30 games, over 20-something to 30 games. But was losing at home and was failing to make Old Trafford a fortress.
Doesn't make sense.
Solved. Ten Hag came, made Old Trafford a fortress, and was barely winning.
Couldn't buy away results.
So what's the problem?
Last season, we were conceding shots and goals for fun.
We've stopped this season now.
We've stopped conceding shots for fun.
Can't score.
And now we can't score goals.
Kwame, let's go into the game. Let's be fair to our listeners and our viewers, and let's analyze the game, especially in the first half. What went on? How did we play so well? Let's forget about the chance conversion. We can talk about it later. What really caught your eye in the first half?
All right, so it starts with the selection. The selection it took a lot of people by surprise. The fact that he went with a lineup quite similar to that of Southampton, rather than anything close to the lineup he started with against Barnsley. Yeah. What really stood out was the fact that he went with a midfield that none of us expected him to actually go with. Yeah. The same Kobe Mainoo and Eriksson in midfield. A lot of people were clamoring for Ugarte to start. Some were even saying Casemiro to start alongside. We did make that discussion on the pod. Yeah. That did not happen. And his reason for that was that Ugarte needs to get to know the routines, needs to get to know the Premier League, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Before the start of the game, I felt insulted by that lineup. Honestly, I was not happy with it. I don't have an issue with him dropping Marcus Rashford because, let's say, Garnacho, one Premier League game ago, if anybody said Marcus Rashford had been dropped from the starting lineup, I'm sure all of us would have said, oh, he deserves to be dropped and Garnacho deserves to be started. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Garnacho is in form, Garnacho is playing well, I get it. The knockdown on that is, why would you drop a player who has just regained his confidence and not play him, continue to play him to better whatever process that he has started? Yeah. Why drop him to the bench? But it's the coach's choice, and the alternative coming on for him, it's a very, very good player who is actually on a mission to improve himself this season. He's already proven to us to be one of our goal-getters this season, Alejandro Garnacho. So I don't have an issue with it. But the midfield, I was like, what's he doing? Because this midfield barely held up in the first half against Southampton. We were solid amid the fact that it was against Barnsley. In midfield against Barnsley, with Ugarte playing almost the whole game. Casemiro did play well. Why go with a midfield that is not going to control the game against Palace? But boy, were we wrong. I was wrong. I may not speak for everybody, but I was wrong.
A lot of people were
that starting lineup. Yeah, that starting lineup took absolute control of the game from this. We've not been starting games well this season, right? In the very first game, so even against Barnsley, we did not start well. This game was completely different. Let's juxtapose this against what's set up Palace they put out. I think they set up in the 3 at the back, 5 in the middle, and 3-4-3 formation.
Yeah.
And that helped us. That helped us because up front, he had a front three of Eddie Nketiah, Mateta, and Eze playing on the left side, right?
Yeah.
But they were playing narrow. And what we did was that we were getting our fullbacks, especially Diogo Dalot, to invert, right, and overload the midfield. So in as much as we were playing with an Ericsson and Mino, Diogo Dalot was adding up to that midfield, and we're not being overloaded in that area. In fact, we actually outnumbered them in central midfield. The fact that they had to push their forwards to try and press our centre backs allowed us to actually control the middle of the park by outnumbering them. Tactically, I thought it was brilliant, and it was working to perfection. Right? Diogo Dalot did not have a winger who was just pegging him backwards and forcing him to bend. So he had the license to always get back into the middle so that we can help us outnumber them and then control the middle of the park. Our wingers, Garnacho and Ahmad, also pinned their wing backs almost exclusively in their half, so much so that they could not fly in behind our defense. It was a beautiful setup. We were absolutely in control of the football game and creating chances for fun. I can't pinpoint any single player in that first half who was not playing at almost his maximum best. Matt Diallo was sensational on the right side. Garnacho was getting in behind the defense time and time again, being found time and time again. And the ball simply did not want to go into the back of the net. I do not want to be hypercritical because some of the saves that Dean Henderson made on it were absolutely insane, out of this world. Yet he suddenly turned into prime Neuer from nowhere. Some of our ex-players do that. It's a story.
Remember Tom Heaton at Stoke City?
Against Zlatan Ibrahimovic. It was crazy. The ball just refused to go in. Like I said, I don't want to be hypercritical of some of the finishing up front, but at the end of the day, right, you have to bury some of these chances. Bruno Fernandes, there was one opportunity where Diogo Dalot put Alejandro Garnacho through. Perfect hit on the ball. Someone came off the crossbar. An empty goal, Bruno Fernandes volleyed the ball back into the ground, came up against the crossbar again. And at that moment, I was saying to myself, is this football going to right itself where you waste all these countless opportunities and it comes back to bite you? And it almost did.
Eze came so close.
So close with a cutback. A cutback. And the cutback thing, that's when you realize that in as much as we've controlled the game and played well, we're always going to be prone to that because we're not playing with a traditional defensive midfielder. In the second half, what happened was they had a very similar chance like that where they brought on Sarr. Sarr pulled the ball back to Eze at the edge of the 6-yard box, and he should have scored. But what the coach did at that particular point in time is immediately bring a defensive midfielder on. I found that very impressive. He reacted to the situation and brought on Ugarte. Unfortunately, the subsequent changes after that took us off because as at the time, Ericsson, Zexi, Amad Diallo, very technical players, were ensuring that we're keeping the ball, right? And then playing in between the lines so beautifully. They were all connected. The starting lineup we chose actually did work on the day. They were working. Everything was working. Bruno Fernandes, on the other hand,
let's talk about him.
First half. He wasted a glorious opportunity in the second half to put us in the lead by trying to finish with the outside of the spot. And after that, he completely lost the plot. We saw that in the first game against Fulham. You remember?
Yes.
He missed those glorious opportunities. He completely lost it. Started ballooning, trying too hard to make up.
Truth be told, Bruno hasn't played well this season for Manchester United.
It's a fact. It's a fact. And for the first time, I said to myself that Ten Hag made the changes that we expected him to make because we were arguing about the starting lineup that should not have been the starting lineup. But then the counter argument was that now you have Rashford on the bench, you have Højlund on the bench, you have Ugarte on the bench, you have Casemiro on the bench. In case we want to change the game, at least you have some form of Arsenal bring off the bench quality. That's the word. Bring off the bench to alter the game. Unfortunately, it's hindsight is a beautiful thing. Unfortunately, changes that he made rather distorted the play the fluidity of our play.
Yeah.
That's what tells you that football fans, we don't know everything. We can't know everything. Sometimes we overreact. Sometimes the coaches know what they are doing. We have to give them the benefit of the doubt. The team that we wanted to see out there, probably from the beginning, that should have done better.
Probably have struggled in the first half.
You would never know. Would probably have struggled in the first half. That's what I'm trying to say. We struggled to take control of the game, and Bruno Fernandes wasn't even helping with the situation. Instead of being calm, being collected, being creative, he was just.
I want to put the stats out there about Bruno Fernandes.
I don't know what he was doing in that second half. So I was saying to myself, in hindsight, purely in hindsight, maybe for the first time, we should have taken Bruno Fernandes off, and I think a lot of fans would have been okay with it compared to
the other Brighton game. He lost the balls 34 times. Just
crazy.
That's the stats. If you are seeing on the screens, that's the stats.
Kwame, I question the mentality of these players every single time. The last time I was checking in on Diogo Dalot and Bruno Fernandes himself, as well as Marcus Rashford, for having the sort of mentality that will not help us going forward. As the leader of this team, a 30-year-old, just signed the biggest contract in your life, right? You talk a lot. It should show on the football pitch every single time. You should lead that team rather than be an Achilles heel for this team. And at that point in time, Achilles heel, if he had even left Eriksen on instead of him, I'm sure that I've been saying this, but then it's the fact. Christian Eriksen has been balling for the last 3 games.
Yeah.
I was one critic of him starting this game, but he absolutely balled out in this game.
Yeah.
Right? If we had even left Christian Eriksen on the pitch instead of him, I think he would have been more measured, more controlled, and would have continued to create more chances.
Absolutely.
Compared to what Bruno
he kept the ball better than Bruno Fernandes actually did.
But Kobe Mainoo, exceptional today. His best game so far this season. Let's say that boy has so much talent. There is so much to unlock, and you could see so much of it today. His ball control, his dribbling, his moving in between the lines, the passes, the flicks. There was so much there. But the changes that we made completely distorted the fluidity of what we're doing, right? And it became more of a battle of attrition at that point. I'll give a little bit of credit to Glasner for also reacting to this.
I expected that actually. I really expected.
He realized that his 3 forwards thing that he was playing wasn't working, so he dropped one of them. It actually took off Mateta and brought an extra midfielder in there to counter our fullbacks. Our fullbacks who were inverting and then overloading. It sort of balanced the situation. It was then that Palace were able to then control the ball a bit and cause us problems in behind and all that. But I think our defense stood well. Huge credits, massive credits to Andre Onana. He did not have much to do, but whenever he was called on, he made massive saves.
Correct.
That double save he made
against Ismail Assar,
got us a point.
Yeah.
And it was as good as Raya's double save in the Champions League. It was equally as good. See, he had a lot of criticism last year, but then we have to remember it was his first year in a very difficult league in a team that was not sent. Onana is keeping clean sheets in the Premier League. Onana is ensuring that we are staying in games. All we need is for our forwards to be doing their best and scoring goals. We looked at the stats at the end of the day. Manchester United now has missed the most big chances in the league. 17. And it's not even close. The next person is not even close. That's 12. From, I think, Liverpool also. 12. 17 big chances. Our expected goals.
The next club is Aston Villa, Liverpool. They are all on 12. And then there's Southampton 11, Spurs 11, and then Brentford at 9.
That's not even the most damning stat. The most damning stat is when you look at our expected goals, right? Liverpool have scored 10 goals from 10 expected goals.
Yes.
City have scored, I think, 9 goals from
11 goals.
11 goals from 9 expected goals, right? 9 expected goals.
Yeah.
So they are outperforming their XG. Manchester United should have at least scored 10 goals in the league.
Absolutely.
We have scored 5, only 5, half of that. And when you look at the chances that we are missing, some of them are easy chances.
These are big chances.
Massive chances. It makes me question. I have said this for years, actually, and you know this very well. You know, when people over the years always come back at the whole Marcus Rashford thing, I always say this, that Marcus Rashford should not be the leading forward at Manchester United.
Correct.
Right? I've said this for years.
Yeah.
Whether he's performing well or whether he's not performing well. But my problem is, how come we always spend so much money on our forward line and we don't get someone who can consistently give us goals for a long period of time? How have we signed 2 centre forwards in Joshua Zexi and Rasmus Højlund for £100 million, and none of us have any conviction that they will be able to do the business for us of goal?
Yeah.
Previously, we were signing old players who were past their best, who will give us 1 season and now just be it. I.e., Ronaldo, Cavani, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, all those players. We did sign Romelu Lukaku. He gave us 2 good seasons. I said 2 good seasons because many people don't even remember that his second season, when he was even having problems with selection and his weight and all those kind of things, he still gave us 15 goals, despite not even being a starter. Yeah. His first season, he gave us 26 or something goals in that season. We veered off that, went for all this. Now we've reverted to trying to get young players. But unfortunately, we've got very young, inexperienced players who did not have any track record of scoring goals for clubs and winning games for them. Yet they are supposed to lead the line for Manchester United. Are they going to be clinical? We don't know. It's a whole Pandora's box. It's a mystery. We don't know what they are going to do. If Marcus Rashford does not do the Marcus Rashford of 2 seasons ago, what we have to expect is what we have always experienced over the past 10 years, where we will not be able to perform as well as we should in the league because we simply cannot score goals.
Right.
We have struggled to score goals in the league. That is why we always struggle to make the sort of headway that we need to make. 2 seasons ago, when we had a good season, the sole reason was Marcus Rashford was scoring goals and we're keeping clean sheets. We have started keeping clean sheets now, and I know we'll continue to keep those clean sheets.
3 clean sheets out of 5.
The question is, are we going to score the goals that are required to be able to push us to where we want to get to? It's a mystery now. We've already started on a very bad note with all this massive plethora of missed chances. What shows, Kwame? What shows that this is going to improve? I have no idea.
Well, Kwame has no idea, neither do I. And I'm sure you also do not have an idea exactly what is going to happen. But watching the game, what's his name? The back line, Diogo Dalot, Lisandro Martinez. The legs had 2 headers. What's his name? Mazraoui. Charlie, the guy is a breath of a fresh air.
Oh, the baller.
He's a solid footballer.
Absolute baller.
How he weaves himself out of pressure, how he's able to create space for himself, how he's able to regain. He can defend, he can attack, he can do virtually everything that you should expect of him.
Kwame, did you see, we were talking last season about the fact that we did not have a back line to be able to play, especially from the first phase.
Yeah.
Today showed exactly how, with a back line that is accustomed to how we actually want to actually execute how we want to play. It was beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
They played out to the back with ease.
Yeah.
It was so comfortable. Why couldn't we just put the ball at the back of the net?
Anyway, we'll go round and come back to
no. What this does is, if you don't get these results, very soon the confidence in what you are doing cannot be sustained.
Exactly.
It will drop.
It will
drop. No matter what the coaches do, the results at the end of the day, you see, results reward you. It's like a reward sort of thing. In medical school, we learn so much about how when you reward somebody for something, right, you sort of reinforce what that person needs to do all the time. In order to reinforce what we want to keep on doing for a long period of time, they need to get a reward. And the reward is simply results. But the longer these things continue without actually getting results, what is going to happen is we're just going to go back in reverse. The old habits will start happening again. The belief would be gone.
It becomes a problem.
It becomes a problem. I hope that they can right the wrong somehow. But the only problem now is the league isn't standing there waiting. The competition for top
It's gone. It's going.
It's hot.
It's going. Villa on 12 points. Villa 12 points.
That's the thing.
Chelsea on 10 points.
when are you going to start something and go on a run that would put you where you want to be? You get, that's the disappointment. Both of us are sitting here going like, we can't even rant. We can't blame Eric Ten Hag. We are just what we are. I don't want us to reach the point of acceptance that, we are just what we are.
No.
Because when we get there, then we are no longer the club that we used to be.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. So quickly as possible, something should change. Something should change.
Something has got to change. Something has got to change. But there's an interesting one. I have an interesting conundrum. The Zegzi conundrum. See, Zegzi is not a scorer. He's not a goal scorer that you'd want. But Zegzi makes us play football. It's link-up play. Because the point where we took Zegzi out and we brought in Rashford, that was two different profiles.
Totally.
Two different profiles. Now, what do we do? Because now Højlund is back. Højlund gives us another dimension. Zegzi is able to hold on to the ball and able to bring other players into play.
But can't score the goals.
But can't get the goals. So this is what I'm thinking. Our wingers, be it Rashford, be it Garnacho, that's why I was actually disappointed that Rashford didn't start today. Because I believe Rashford would have found himself in that situation where Garnacho finds himself, especially the first chance.
And he probably finishes them.
He would have smashed that. Because that one-on-one situation, and he knows Dean, and he knows exactly how Dean reacts, and would have done a lot better than Garnacho. A lot of people were like,
"Is this not hindsight?"
That's the problem, you know.
That's the thing,
That's just the problem. That's just the problem.
This game is very difficult to analyze because people will go like, if you had done this, then probably this would have happened. What if we did this and we're not even playing at all?
How do we resolve that? What's your thoughts quickly on the Zegzi conundrum? How do we deal with it? Because it worries me, it bothers me. I like him.
I think what happened was we ended up with a team for the last 20 minutes. This is the ideal situation that Eric Ten Hag would have envisaged in his head. Having benched Højlund and Rashford, that would go probably a goal up or two up. Palace will be chasing the game.
Yeah.
And then he brings on Rashford and Højlund, who like to run in behind him.
Yeah.
And all that we have to do is lay down the ball over the top.
Them.
And then it makes more sense. Nobody would have sort of agreed with him leaving those players on the bench when it was 0-0, despite the fact that we had players on the pitch who could play through the deep blocks that Crystal Palace had set.
Yeah.
Taking them off, bringing on players who cannot play through blocks, right, was what made our second half play disjointed. But then, imagine he hadn't brought on Rashford, he hadn't brought on Bruno. Everybody would have had a go at him. So the thing is, it's almost like as if it's so hard to analyze this game because you're like, you had to bring them on. By bringing them on, now we can't play. What I think is it's about combinations.
Yeah.
It's about combinations. I feel that Højlund would play better with wingers who can take control of the ball, not necessarily be hoping for the ball over the top, who can dribble and who can create.
Yeah.
I.e., Amad Diallo like this can play very well with Højlund.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's looking to create the ball sticks, right? Højlund, Zegzi can also play well with Rashford
and Garnacho.
Because they like to run in behind him.
So he would drop deep, pick the ball, and do some combinations with Bruno.
And release them. As we saw in the first half when he even released Garnacho on one occasion. So it's about the combinations now, because personally, I don't think Garnacho, Højlund, and Rashford works. We saw it last season.
Yes, it did.
And we even saw it in the second half. It doesn't work. It doesn't work efficiently, effectively.
Because in deep blocks, I mean, Bruno was being an ass. And
he was just spamming the ball and then hoping that one of them runs.
One of them would just find some.
None of them was willing to do something with the ball at their feet. That's the problem, right? So my preference is to start games with Zexi
Mm-hmm.
and Rashford as
Mm-hmm.
well as Garnacho. That's my preference, right?
Rashford and
Diallo
Garnacho. Okay.
and Amad Diallo is in sensational form that it's hard to even consider dropping him.
Yeah.
So Amad Diallo, Zexi, as well as either Rashford or Garnacho, it works for me. The whole Højlund thing, you'll be saying it off the back of the fact that he scored 15, 16 goals last season, and he can improve if the service improves. But you're asking yourself, the service is only improving because Joshua Zexi is actually on the football pitch, making sure the service actually happens.
Yeah.
That's my point. Because like Martial, when Martial is there, it works because he drops in, and all these other players that we have
able to
around
run in behind.
able to run in behind. And that's how we create our chances. That's the basis of our team. Right? So I personally do not know what kind of combination suits Rasmus Højlund right now. I don't know. The ideal situation for me now is Joshua Zexi should find some scoring boots from somewhere, because if the system works well with you on the football pitch, then you have to add goals, because at the end of the day, you're a striker. Call yourself a 9.5, 8.6, 7.2.
You're a striker. You're a
striker. You are judged on goals, and he gets the chances. See, that's the thing. Every single game I've watched him, he gets opportunities himself. As much as he creates, he still gets opportunities. That header he got in the first half, bury it. Show you a 6'4", 6'5" center forward. Put your neck into it, and then bury the ball at the back of the net. When he plays all softy, touchy, come on. This is the Premier League. You should grow up quickly. I don't know. See, these guys should sort them. These players, see, when Eric Ten Hag fucks up, you come and
we come. Yes.
When these players are messing up like this, we have to make them know that they have to grow up and grow up quickly. Otherwise, the ultimate conclusion is that you're not just good enough for Manchester United. What Manchester United needs is not what you are. So it's either you grow up quickly, or we just come to a conclusion you are just not what we need to be able to get to where we want to get to. We'll live to see.
Upon we are done. We'll see you on the next one. So that's how we're doing it. Getting on today's episode on United and Everything Football Podcast. We'll be back in the course of the week with our guests to talk about the game against FC20, and also later on we have a couple of podcasts for you, so just stick and stay with us, and thank you for being a part of us. Please remember, you can share your comment with us on all that we have said in the comment section, and also please drop the likes. But before the game against FC20, our next recording, we would want to have a video of you sharing your thoughts on the game and what you think the coach should do going into the game. We would be happy to gladly share it with everyone, so everyone gets to see it. All right. Thank you very much, Kwame. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for being a part of this podcast. It's always a pleasure to come to you. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great time. Bye-bye.